throbs. I turn my head to look and wince at the stiffness in my neck. I try to lift my hand, but all that happens is a slight twitch in my fingers. My body feels strange, distant almost, like it belongs to somebody else. An IV connects my arm to a clear liquid-filled bag, hooked onto a stand next to the bed. I swallow and it hurts my throat. I can feel another tube in my nose, the weight of it squatting on my upper lip. A slow, rhythmic clack of heels catches my attention. The nurse is talking with someone across the ward from me, but she must feel me watching as she turns and smiles at me. "You're awake?" She walks over. I yawn, feeling exhausted. "Do you feel up to talking to a doctor, or would you like to rest for a bit?" I swallow and nod. She frowns, but the smile returns quickly. "I'll come back." My eyes are already closing as she turns to leave. When I open my eyes again, the room is much darker. There's still a little light coming in the window, but not much. I feel much more awake this time. My vision is clearer and my throat is dry. I look around for a cup of water, noticing that the stiffness in my neck has inexplicably eased. "Oh," I hear a female voice say. The same nurse from earlier is standing just a few beds down from me. "Are you feeling more awake now?" I nod. "Can I have some water, please?" My voice sounds like I have laryngitis, croaky and weak. The nurse nods and walks over to my bed. She lifts a children's sippy cup from the bedside next to me. "Just take little sips," she says and hands me the sippy cup. I reach for it with my right arm, but moving it feels odd with the cannula, so I try with my left. "I'll get the doctor now." The nurse heads out of the ward. I take a few moments to lie there in the ward's peace and slowly tense and relax my muscles. It's a relaxation technique my GP had taught me, to concentrate on one part of my body at a time and slowly allow it to relax. It works until I make it up to my stomach. The pain is distant, blocked by a fog of painkillers, but it's still there. My stomach feels tight. There is a solid and consistent weight fixed to my stomach, pulling at the skin and making me sweat where it rests on me. I try to concentrate on something else. The door to the ward opens and the nurse walks back in, followed by a tall doctor with messy hair and dark circles under his eyes. They stop at the foot of my bed. "Okay, Sam, I'm here to explain this to you," the doctor says, looking at me. His worried expression makes my heart speed up. He walks closer to the head of my bed. "Okay," I croak. "But my name is Sophie." He glances at my chart. "Sorry. Anyway, we had to take a lot more than we expected," the doctor mumbles. I take a deep breath, my chest tight. "What?" I ask. The nurse blinks at me, her eyes wide. "It's just the anaesthetic," the doctor says to her and then turns back to me. "Sophie, you've had an operation. Your stomach was hurting. Do you remember?" I nod. "We were seeing about removing a blockage." The doctor looks away from me for a moment. "It was bigger than we initially thought. I'm sure your consultant will explain things in more detail when you've recovered, but for now, we had to give you a total colectomy." "What's that?" I ask. My throat still burns when I speak, but my voice is improving. I take a sip of water and it tastes strange, metallic, like watered down medicine. "It means that your bowel was in such bad condition that we had to remove it. It was not healthy enough for us to make a safe joint. We had to give you a colostomy bag." He comes forward and pulls the covers down and abruptly lifts my nightdress, just enough to show me my stomach. There is a bag attached to me. "This is your ileostomy, your stoma," the doctor explains. "At the moment we can't be 100% sure if this will be permanent, but it's likely it will be, so prepare yourself." How could this not be permanent? He just said he took my entire bowel. I swallow and feel my eyes heat as I start to cry. I blink several times to clear the tears and nod. What was all this? My throat feels raw. I gesture as much as I can to the tubes attached to me. "The one in your nose is to feed you. We'll take that out as soon as we're confident that you'll be all right on your own." The drip in your arm is fluids to keep you hydrated, and we can give you drugs this way, painkillers, etc. You do also have a catheter, but that will come out soon. You'll be able to get up with some help tomorrow, and if all goes well, the day after tomorrow, you'll be up and about by yourself. His pocket starts beeping loudly. He looks at the nurse and nods. I'll speak to you again later, he says, marching down the ward and out. Okay, Sophie, I know it's a lot to take in, the nurse says. She's very young and smiles a lot. I'm just going to give you some warfarin. This will stop blood clots, and then we can talk if you like. Thank you, I mutter. I feel cold. You know, these bags have come a long way in recent years. You've got nothing to worry about with leaks and whatnot, but you will just need to be a bit careful with your diet. The stoma girls will come over and go through all of that with you, but nobody will need to know you've got a bag unless you tell them. I'm not listening. I'm lying perfectly still, trying to feel the bag against my skin. It's not heavy, but it feels stiff and oddly warm against my skin. Doesn't hurt, I say. That's the painkillers. But don't worry when it does hurt. Remember, you've had people digging around in there and taking bits out. It's bound to hurt, so don't panic too much. The nurse gestures to a button by the bed. Just push that and you'll get more painkillers. Am I going to be able to go back to work? Not right away, but yes, no one will need to know you've got a bag unless you want them to know. I nod and lie back. Don't care if people know if I've got a bag or not. I care about what changes I might have to make to my life. Will I still be able to travel? I have a trip booked with friends, backpacking through Thailand in 3 months. Am I still going to be able to go? What about my job? What about my life? Will I even be able to bend and lift things if I drop them? Right now everything feels far too stiff and tight to even sit up properly, let alone pick something up. Well, it's better than die, I say. Way, way better. I close my eyes and repeat my new mantra until I fall asleep. I'm jerked awake by the screaming. It's a high-pitched wail and it echoes throughout the ward. I feel the hairs on my arms stand on end as I try to sit up. My stomach feels tighter than it had earlier and the bag crumples against my skin. But the wail continues, growing in volume. I clasp my hands over my ears and close my eyes. My heart hammers in my chest as I look around trying to see who is screaming. I feel a hand on my wrist and look to my side. Amanda's on my bed looking worried. Sophie, she says. What is it? Screaming, I say. Can't you? I stop, realizing that the ward is silent. The screaming has stopped. What? Amanda frowns. Someone was screaming, I say, looking around. No one was screaming, Amanda says. Must have just had a nightmare. But where am I? I look at Amanda. Don't you remember? You're on the ward for those with extras. You were here earlier. They brought you back a few hours ago. Amanda watches me for a moment before she goes back to her own bed and climbs in. There's still a few hours before morning. You should go back to sleep. I nod and look around the ward again. My eyes are adjusting to the dark. Everyone is asleep or at least lying down, except for one person. It's a boy. He looks around my age. He's sitting up. His knees are pulled tight to his chest. His eyes are wide. He is shaking and staring at me. You heard it, I say. No, I didn't, he says, his voice hoarse. You did, I snap. You heard it. Sophie, Amanda breathes. Go back to sleep. I watch as the trembling boy lies back down, pulling the covers over his head. I had heard screaming, and now I was confident he had too. But why hadn't Amanda? Why was nobody else jumping up? I don't understand. I stare hard at the boy opposite me. He looks like everyone else in here. Thin, sick, and afraid. But his fear is different. His is a more immediate fear, not the slow dread that the others expressed towards their illness. He had heard the scream. I'm sure of it. You heard it. I mouth at him, trying not to wake Amanda. He looks around the ward to check as if anyone is watching. Then he clambers out of his bed and comes over to mine. I saw you earlier, he says. You're new. bloody fast. Yes, they did, I nod. But don't change the subject. You heard that. Why didn't anybody else? Keep your voice down, the boy snaps. I'm trying to help you. I frown at him. Look, you've got to ignore it. Ignore what? The screaming. How can I ignore that? He shakes his head. Everything. It's the only way you'll last. You don't want to get her attention. Whose attention? I say, already having a good idea who he means. You know who. You saw her earlier. I watched you. You need to ignore her. It's the ones that notice her that she fixates on. You mean the grey? I start, but his hand covers my mouth in an instant. Shh! He snaps. You'll put us both at risk. The hell are you talking about? I jerk my head away from his hand. Look, just ignore her, he snaps. She's a creepy hallucination, I say, despite the cold lump forming in my gut. Hallucinations can't hurt you. Oh, normal hallucinations can't hurt you. But she's not a hallucination, and she can hurt you. A lot, if she wants to. Simon, Amanda hisses. Bloody well, stop it. Go back to bed, or I'm calling the nurse. I'm trying to help her, the boy, Simon, snaps. You're deliberately trying to freak her out. Pack it in. I'm not, Simon says, glancing at Amanda. You've been here long enough to know I'm right. You've seen what she does, even if you can't see her. I've not seen anything, and neither has Sophie. She hasn't heard anything either. It was just a nightmare. Simon looks at me, his expression grave. She screams when she kills someone, he whispers. Only some of us can see her, but she can affect anyone. But she only tends to go for the ones that notice her, the ones that pay attention. She likes their fear. Simon! Amanda snaps. I think she's a banshee, Simon says. Nurse! Amanda calls. Simon scarpers back to his bed and glares daggers at Amanda. I wake in the dark and stare at the ceiling. This has to be my medication. It has to be. There hadn't been a scream. There was no floating ghost lady. I don't even believe in ghosts or monsters or anything like that. It has to be the medication. Probably stress. It's got to be that that's making my brain funny. It just has to be. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed in your imagination, I mutter to myself. I speak to stop the rising panic and breathe deliberately to slow my heartbeat. With all the powers of drugs, the best I can come up with is a floating, screaming shadow lady, only visible as a reflection. I have to stop watching creepy horror films at night. At least Amanda got a dinosaur. I have to swallow a laugh, lest someone hear and think I'm going crazy. I take another slow, deep breath and try to stop thinking about it. I keep my eyes on the ceiling. There is absolutely nothing reflective about it. It's plasterboard, the most reflective substance in the world. I like it. The ward is quiet, peaceful almost. If it had been anywhere but a hospital, I would have found the sounds of other people quietly sleeping to be soothing. An abrupt snore makes me jump and I let out a nervous giggle. But the sleep settles down again and I try to relax. After a few moments of listening to the soft breathing of my fellow patients, I start to notice something else. A raspy sound. I flush cold when I recognise it. It's her. I close my eyes, determined not to see her. I reach across to the table by my bed for my iPod. I fumble with it for a moment or two until my fingers find the smooth metal of the device. I put the headphones in, my fingers still shaking, and wait for the player to boot up. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. It's all normal. I whisper as the sound of the grey lady's breathing grows louder. I'm just lying here, getting better. There is nothing else in the room. It's just me and the other patients. There is no grey lady. It's just the medication. It's just the drugs. My music starts. I turn the volume up. When it's loud enough to drown out the sound sudden pain in my ears when my headphones are pulled out makes me cry out. I sit up too fast, wincing at the pain in my stomach, and pull on my feeding tube. I glance around and spot the headphones sitting with my iPod at the foot of my bed, inches beyond my feet. I slowly reach out to retrieve them. My stomach feels stiff and moving pulls on my stoma. I hear her crackly breathing and freeze. She's not real, say, risking a glance around the darkened ward. She isn't there. Taking a deep breath, I look at the window separating the ward from the corridor. She's there, in the window, staring at me from the glass. I squeeze my eyes closed and fumble for my headphones, ignoring the sharp pain in my stomach when I reach down too quickly. My fingers close around my headphones and I push them back until my sore ears. The music is still playing and it drowns out the crackly breathing. I lie back and listen to the music, turning the volume up as high as I can until the song finishes and the next one begins. Only then do I risk looking again. She's still there. I watch, unable to look away as the grey lady staggers along the glass to where my bed is reflected. Her movements are jerky, like a lamed spider on fast forward. She stops in my reflection, and, crackling and creaking, her legs lengthen until she towers over my reflection. I look away. She's not really there, I whisper, looking above me. Nothing is there. It's just the medication. It's just the medication. It's just the medication. I try to ignore the strange smell of hospital chemicals and dust that slowly overwhelms me. I feel a cool touch on my face and I swallow a scream before looking back at the window. At the glass, the grey lady is touching me, and I can feel her hand on me. One cold hand on my stomach, ice lancing through me at her touch. Her skin is rough and brittle. Feels like she's dead. She trails long fingers up to my ears and I can feel bits of her skin flaking off. I can't move. She grabs my headphones in the reflection with one hand and pulls. My headphones tear out of my ears and my iPod flies across the room, clattering across the floor. I try again to move, but the sheets are tangled in my legs and the pain in my stomach takes my breath away. The grey lady has moved both of her hands down to my stomach. Her touch is a cold spot on my abdomen, sending waves of pain out from the point of contact. Her breathing speeds up. The sound is alien and horrific. Her face splits into a grin. The sound gets louder. She's laughing. I free my arms to push her away, but when I reach up, there is nothing but air above me. Her hands move up to touch my right side, her fingers dancing over my ribs. She stops laughing and squeezes my side hard. My back arches as pain erupts in my side and back. Her other hand moves to my chest between my breasts and pushes down. The pain follows, spiderwebbing through my lungs with every breath I take. I scream. The lights flicker on and a nurse runs in. "Sophie," she says. "Sophie, what is it?" As the lights come on, my tormentor vanishes, disappearing like fog. I open my